movement by the Minnesota Timberwolves with that ball moving side to side. Oh!
Ahead of Rudy Gobert.
That's his right hand, Joe.
With the NBA season coming to a close, it's looking like we're going to have to say goodbye to 1/3 of the league. Yes, 10 teams are being eliminated this weekend. But one of the teams moving on is the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, the interesting thing about this Pelicans team is that they're most likely going to make the playoffs, and no one's talking about them. You see, what people have been talking about, besides the MVP race, is the Wild West. Now, if you don't know what the Wild West is, it's essentially this race between the 4th and the 10th seed in the Western Conference, where these 6 or 7 teams have been within 3 to 4 games of each other for the last month. Absolutely crazy. And one of those teams in the race is the New Orleans Pelicans. But they are getting zero media attention. And that may be due to the fact that their superstars have been missing for almost the entire year. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's take a look at opening day all the way back in October. Now, what did opening day look like for the New Orleans Pelicans? Well, for starters, they were going up against the Brooklyn Nets, who, looking back at their opening day, very interesting team. I mean, their starting 5 consisted of Ben Simmons out for season, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, both gone, Royce O'Neal, old vet, who cares, and Nicholas Claxton, young center. I'm pretty sure he's maybe the only one still left on the team. I don't know if they kept Nicholas Claxton. Could care less. This video is about the Pelicans. Now, the Pelicans have a very interesting starting 5 to kick off the year. First off, they've got their 2 superstars in Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson as the wings. Then they have Jonas Valanciunas down low, CJ McCollum, and Herbert Jones. Yes, Herbert Jones is in the starting lineup. Who cares? Now, I'm telling you this because only 2 out of those 5 played almost all the games this season. Now, you could slide Herbert Jones maybe in there, but he's missed almost 20 games. So, I wouldn't say he's been consistent enough. Let's see. Now, the 2 guys who've been with the Pelicans for almost the entire season have been CJ McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas. You see, in the 79 games that the team's played so far, CJ has started and played in 71 of those games. I think that's pretty good. I mean, I think he's been healthy for almost the entire year, and for someone who's in his mid-30s and a little past his prime, that's more than what you could ask for out of him. Jonas Valanciunas, who is 30 years old, he played in 75 games this season, so he's only missed 4 with 3 left. Congrats to Jonas for playing in 75, starting in about, how many did he start? He started in 75, so he started in all of them. Now, those 2 guys have been the only consistent pieces in the starting lineup this season. Why? Well, for starters, we've got Herbert Jones, who's missed 20 games because of some ankle and knee issues earlier in the season, but a majority of those games have been missed because of a back injury Herbert sustained in mid-January. Now, if you know anything about back issues, then you know that if you're struggling with your back, you're pretty much useless. The back controls most of the upper body. You do not have to be some biologist to know that, alright? If you've got back problems, it's really hard to play through, which is why he's missed a good portion of games. But if you thought Herbert was bad with injuries, oh my god. Let me fill you in with the rest of this Pelicans roster. Because Brandon Ingram, the number 2 behind Zion, the second star, the Robin of the team, he has only played in 41 games this season. What? That's like half of the games. Why? Because this man cannot catch a break. I swear to God, he has injuries every other month. Let's take a look at his injuries so far this season. Brandon Ingram started the season off with a concussion on October, followed by some toe issues in November, led by rest in January. He missed 1 game in January because of rest, whatever. More toe issues in February, and last but certainly not least, in March, he did miss a game because of an ankle injury. Dude has barely played. Only 41. But as of now, he's been balling out for the Pelicans. Since coming back in March, Brandon Ingram has dropped 6 30-point games, with his last one being at the beginning of April, on April 1st, versus the LA Clippers, where he went 13 from 23 from the field with 4 rebounds and 8 assists. Crazy game. Probably the main reason that the Pelicans win that game versus the Clippers. Now, this game was huge because the Pelicans are currently sitting at 40-39, and while I know I said we'll be seeing them later on, they will be eliminated at the end of this week, they're not guaranteed a spot in the play-in as of right now. See, they're currently, 3 games ahead of the Mavericks, who are sitting right outside the play-in, and I don't know who has a tiebreaker, but if the Mavericks win out and the Pelicans lose out, they'll basically have the same record. So if the Mavericks have the tiebreaker over them, then that means the Pelicans miss the playoffs. Low chance of that happening, which is why the video's made. Anyway, Brandon Ingram comes, saves the day, saves the end of the season for the Pelicans. They've won a lot of games recently. Brandon Ingram's played in a lot of those games. Coincidence? I think not. But if you thought Brandon Ingram playing in only 41 games was a little bit, you are surely mistaken, all right? Because Zion Williamson, their superstar, the face of the franchise, has only played in 29 games. Now, coming out of college, while Zion might have been the most hyped prospect since LeBron James, he was an injury risk. I mean, let's be real. Anybody who saw that draft knew that Zion, while super talented, was always going to have injury concerns. And this season is no different. I mean, to start it off, he had a hip issue in October, the first month of the season, followed by foot issues in November, and then reconditioning. He missed some games because of conditioning in December. One of the few NBA players that I know that misses games because of conditioning problems. And then he's had this hamstring issue since, January 2nd, since New Year's. He's basically missed the last 3 months. Now, why have I said all of this? Why did I talk about what their team looked like opening day? Why have I mentioned all of their starters' injury history? And why have I talked about where they currently are in the standings? Well, it's all to lead up to my point, the purpose of this video, which is the fact that I don't think that the Pelicans need Zion to be successful. Now, would they love to have him? Yeah, I mean, when he's healthy, he's a superstar. He's an absolute freak. Dominates the court like no one since Shaq. Zion is like at the level of Giannis when it comes to dominance. But I don't think they need him to be successful. And they've proved it. I mean, just look at their recent wins. They beat Denver they blew out Denver. They beat a Clippers team. And they beat the Clippers team twice, okay? So they're taking care of people in their conference who are playoff teams. Why? Well, like I said, Brandon Ingram's been back. CJ McCollum's there now. Jonas Valanciunas has always been there. Herbert Jones is back. So they've got 4 out of their original 5 starters there. And they've been winning games by a lot. They've gone 7 out of 9 in their last 9 games. They've got 3 games left: Memphis, New York, Dallas. I'm pretty sure they win at least 2 of those games. Would they love to have Zion? Of course they would love to have Zion. But they don't need him to be successful. They're an above 500 team without him. All right. With him, maybe they're top 4 in the conference. But I'm about to be proven right with this playoff run that they're about to make. Is Zion going to be healthy for the playoff run? That's the real question. No one really knows if he's going to be healthy. But if he isn't, and they make it to the third round. Let's just say they make it to the third round, the semis, or even the Western Conference Finals. I'm proven right. I'm correct without Zion. All right? And if that doesn't happen, you can come back to this video, shit on me, tell me how stupid of a take this is. Oh, Zion is important. Whatever. You can come back, talk your shit. But if not, show me the love, Show me the love for getting this right. I don't think they need Zion. They've won hella games without him. They've played hella games without him. They have BI. They have CJ. They don't need him. And he hasn't been there, all right? Catch y'all later. Deuces. Much love.